Thank you so much for staying with us, everyone. If you have power in your house from the power generation companies, well and good. And if you are powering your television set with your generator, it's all well and good. We're looking at a solution to these problems. Let me remind you again what the APC government said to Nigerians and to those who voted for them in 2015. For those of you who do not have the manifesto of the APC, one of their cardinal objectives is to provide power to Nigerians. And I did even ask the minister about this promise. The APC on power says the APC government shall vigorously pursue the expansion of electricity generation and distribution of up to 40,000 megawatts in 4 to 8 years. It's almost 2 years now. How far have they gone? You've heard the minister speak about this matter. Let me give you the concluding thoughts of the minister on the issue of power now.
Ultimately, it will be because the undisputed public global opinion is that there is often general efficiency in the private sector than in government. And therefore, whenever private sector can conveniently undertake a process, it is better to have them do it. Our responsibility as government is to provide the enabling environment to ensure that as many of them who play by the rules ultimately survive. If you look at telecoms too, some of the ownership of those businesses have changed over the years when they first started. And this is what you will see, and that's what private capital and competition brings. What is wrong with this model is that some basic things were not done. Certain levels of due diligence was not done. Some of the commitments that government made were not met. And so instead of starting afresh, my attitude and my recommendation, which substantially government has acceded to, is let us correct the gaps that we see so that this process can deliver on its undoubted potential. Actions have consequences. We must just understand this. The people of Nigeria, through their legislators in parliament, made a decision to privatize power. That's a national decision. The consequence, therefore, is that you will have a ministry of power that has a very, very restricted role.
Is the power sector insolvent?
Technically, no, because all of the debts, to the best of my knowledge, can be accounted for. And therefore, we just need to have enforcement of contracts. We know where the monies are. We know where the collections should come from. We know the challenges of collecting. So Embed, for example, is owing the Gencos because it has a power purchase agreement signed with the Gencos to pay for power. When Embed signed that power purchase agreement as bulk trader, his intention was to buy power and sell to the discos under vesting contracts with certain conditions. All of those things were not complied with. Those are all the small problems that have created liabilities. But we know that the discos sold power, they too didn't collect all of it or some of it. And that's where all the billing and metering issues came. So what do? Create a system, which is what FEC approved, a 701 billion naira loan to Embed, which is a government-owned company, to discharge its obligations, safeguard the production cycle. Because if the discos do all the work today and correct all their little problems, okay, and there's no power on the grid, there's no power to sell. So safeguard the production side first. Let the gas companies continue to supply. Let the hydros continue to produce. Then you can go and work out the teething problems of how to distribute. If you don't produce news, right, and you are looking for news agents and correspondents, there's no news, there's no news.
Let me read to you the manifesto of your party about the issue of power.
I know the manifesto of my party.
And I'll read it to you again.
I was extensively involved. I was head of the strategy team that drafted that manifesto. So I know what is inside.
The expectations of Nigerians are anchored around this. APC has pledged to generate and distribute up to 40,000 megawatts of electricity in 4 to 8 years. I'll stop there. Reasonable?
It's not unreasonable, and I tell you where that kind of power can come from. Today, we have an installed capacity of 12,000 megawatts. but we are not optimizing it because of transmission and gas. So we talked about gas. I've told you we've increased transmission. Transmission is dynamic. We continue to do more. There are more transmission contracts in process, some already nearing completion, like in Kaduna, and so on and so forth. Some have been opened up, completed and commissioned, like in Sokoto, in Edo State. Some are going to be completed later this year in Borno. We just awarded one for Dogunyo in Lagos. We finished the ones in Alagmo, in parts of Lekki. So it's an ongoing thing. Oshogbo. So, but where is the power coming from? We have a 3,000 megawatt hydro plant that we will conclude the contract negotiations this year, unfailingly. I can tell you that we will finish this year. Hopefully, we will start construction this year. It's a 7-year program on the outside to deliver 3,000 megawatt extra. Zungeru will give you 700 megawatts in another 18 to 24 months. Gurara, Kashimbila, Dadinkowa are essentially nearly completed. We should finish them hopefully this year. Kaduna will give you 215. We have licensed 14 solar PPAs to give an extra 1,200 megawatts. We are deploying energy directly to universities in about 30-something universities. So it is possible. It's not an outrageous plan. Okay? It's not and the program for implementing it, which are all these projects, already on the way. Then there is 6,000 that is out simply because there is no gas out of the installed capacity.
You can't drive that.
Yes. So just yesterday we were meeting on how to solve gas. Ministry of Petroleum is determined to unlock the gas so that we have the gas. So these are not outlandish things. They are not esoteric things. They come within the context of reality. But Shehu, the point to make, and the point that concerns us immediately, is that we hear the people of Nigeria loud and clear. They see a plan, but they want to begin to feel the effect. And that is why I said this is a results business. That result is beginning to manifest slowly but surely.
When they say there will be light at the end of a dark tunnel, that's the expectations of Nigerians living for several years in the dark, providing their own electricity in whatever way they can. Some through generators, mostly though. Dr. Yemi Oke of the University of Lagos, expert in energy and electricity law, has been talking to us on the program. If you hear all of the things, very lofty plans by the APC government. It's almost 2 years though. Does those plans look achievable, and do they really look reasonable in the light of the problem that we have on hand?
They're not realistic, and that's one thing we have to tell Nigerians the truth. I give it to the former governor of the Lagos State and the Minister of Power, Works and Housing. Raji Fashola SCN is doing his best towards the problem is really a lot. It's problematic. The power sector is problematic. But as I said at the introductory level, we haven't really we have not started because we need to go back to the basics. And he said you asked a question of him whether the power sector is insolvent, and he said no. But the fact is...
Technically, no. He said technically, no.
Factually and technically and practically, yes.
They are insolvent.
Yes, because the discourse are suffering from debt overhangs. A lot of them had their, what we call acquisition financing structured in dollars. They're going to generate nairas from Nigerians. The interest rate is there. A lot of legacy debt. How much did the federal government realize from the sale of this asset? No. Nil. because the monies realized from the sale of assets were used in settling the former workers of PSN.
I even understand that the federal government is even giving some of them some money.
I'm getting there. They are even giving them monies. Now, that was the first intervention during the former President Jonathan's regime of 238 or thereabout billion power sector intervention fund. There's now a generation guarantee facility, which the current administration now about 702 billion naira, which is being packaged for MBET. MBET is Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company. MBET, as the minister said, is in debt, is owing the GENCOs. The DISCOs are also owing heavily. And I said in this studio several weeks ago, and I'm still maintaining it, I foresee another round of reacquisition and refinancing the power sector. And that is becoming almost inevitable because the GENCOs cannot make money from the current structure. They will generate at a loss.
Okay, let's look at it from the basic. You said the problem is from the basic.
Fundamentally.
What is the fundamental problem that has not allowed, is a curse somewhat, because for several years we have not been able to move above the 7,000 ceiling?
Sure, we would never move